Welcome back. It is Friday, and you know what that means Friday transformation. And yet again, we're going to bring another topic. And you know what Friday transformation is about? It's about giving you some food for thought, tangible resources before you kick it on your weekend and get your self care moments. Because, yes, we want you to get away on your weekend and get your self care moments. So, in saying that, Friday transformation is all about giving you some great food for thought. And if it's not me, I always bring someone else with me to bring these messages because I'm all about bringing the powerful messengers who provide healing. So, in that sense, today I am so excited and thrilled, honored. And you saw the spotlight by now, the Partner Works in Spotlight video of Dr. J, also known as Dr. Janetta Edwards. And today we got Dr. J in the building. I'm going to give her the camp clap. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. J. I'm so grateful that you are with us today. And you know, we have a topic. It's a heated topic. People have been asking me about this. I got a couple messages about it, and it's about relationships. I talked about it before on a smaller video, as I mentioned to you, Dr. J, the evolution of relationships and the importance of evolving your relationships. But if we could dive into a little space, because relationships are so big, I'm going to go ahead and start kind
Yeah.
of smaller scale, Dr. J, just to
Okay.
give you some target here. And that is just dating world right now for our people, and not young people, not
Mm,
old people, not middle people, just universal people in general
okay.
are struggling with dating. The dating apps ain't working. The people are fishing people on these dating apps, right? There's so many like things that don't feel real. And you know,
Right.
when you think of dating and meeting someone, and I think of my time of dating, we didn't have apps. Dating for me and connect it was connecting with someone by seeing them in a grocery store and catching eyes with them.
Mm-hmm.
And once you
Mm-hmm.
saw those eyes meet, you were like, oh, that person is looking at me in the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
conversation sparks and that, relationship builds with technology, social media, instant gratification, and with people's needs being so different than what my generation needs were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bless us with some gems today, Dr. J. What do you have for us on this topic of the challenges of dating in these times?
Wow, it's a lot, Mr. Adam. I haven't been in the pool in a very, very long time. I've been married for 35 years. So, but I talk to many individuals, many friends and mentors and colleagues who talk about the struggles of dating. And even my unmarried children and people in their age generation talk about the dating pool sucks. They're like, it sucks. They don't have people are fake, they phony. It's hard to vibe with anybody, especially because, like you said, you talk about the instant gratification. You talk about nobody wants to be themselves. Everybody feels like they have to put on this persona. And then after the persona is been personified and you meet them, it's like, okay, you ain't nothing like you put out there, right? Catfishing in a whole nother, realm. And so when I talk to people who are in the dating game, I use the table, building a table, because there's a big thing about women in today's world need to build their table. I not only have a daughter, I have two sons. So I'm like, okay, you need to build your table too, son, right? So if a woman has built her table and she has plates and stemware, then that means she's missing some glassware, right? She might be missing some salt and pepper shakers. So I'm looking, and this is metaphorically, y'all. I'm looking for someone who can add to my table, who can make my table look better and not on my table taking what I already have. So that means that the person I'm looking for, my partner, maybe that person has some glassware. Maybe that person don't have salt and pepper shakers, but they got some mixing bowls. Okay, I can deal with some mixing bowls. So then how we can get together and get some salt and pepper shakers to make that table what it is we need. Now, each person has something different that they need on their table. And so my table should complement yours and yours should complement mine. So you need to be looking for or seeking someone who has something that can complement you. And in today's world, you out there saying, I hear young women say, I need the man to have this, he need to have that, and he need to have that. And I'm asking, well, what you got?
Mm.
What you what you got? What have you been doing
Mhm.
to build yourself out? What have you been doing to come together and make sure your mind is where it needs to be? Make sure
Mm.
you have your goals. What are your goals and your dreams? You looking for him to compliment you, but how are you complimenting yourself?
Mm.
You as an individual, two individuals coming together to make a whole. Well, you can't make a whole if you have and he have. So what is he himself doing to make
Yeah.
himself ready for a woman who ready? What is she doing to make herself ready for a man that's ready? Is your credit together? Are you paying your bills? Are you being responsible in the areas that you need to be responsible in? Right? And you don't have to have it all together, but are you looking at building it so that it can be somebody come along and an economist, and I know a little bit, so I can help you with that. Oh, you don't have anything to do or understanding relationships, but I'm good at the relationship piece because I watched it, so I can help you with that. So people are coming looking for someone else to make them who they need to be. What are you doing individually in your own soul searching self to make yourself who you need to be? Because as we know in relationships, we get together, two individuals, and you looking, and so I'm gonna say this. I looked for my husband to be not my knight in shining armor. That was a lot to put on him. And I didn't realize that until deeper into the marriage, wanting him to save me from something he didn't even know he was supposed to do. So I had to take a step back and realize, well, what do I need to make me a whole woman? When I became a whole woman, I became a better woman. I became a better wife. I became a better mother. But it took me to do soul searching to figure out who I was and stop looking for somebody to make me who I needed to be, holding myself accountable. And so in many cases, people are not holding themselves accountable. Or a man who looking for this woman to come and cook and take care and do this and do that. Well, brother, you need to know how to cook a meal on your own. You need to know how to wash your own clothes, right? You need to know how to go to the grocery store. I took my son to the grocery store with me, and we're going through and we looking and we getting something out the freezer. I'm like, don't get the first thing that you see because somebody could have had that sitting out somewhere. Go to like the third one or the fourth one, right? And make sure it don't look soggy, right? When you looking at your canned goods, look at the date on the canned goods. What does that look like? Don't be just picking up anything. So I took my kids to the store with me. Am I perfect in how I do things? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you can't be expecting them to know something that you haven't practically showed them how to do, right? A man who don't brush his teeth, a man who don't comb his hair, a man who don't think about his attire means something else ain't clean. Same thing for a woman. If she walking around and she not thinking about her appearance, she not thinking about, what she doing, then there's something else that's going on. And so think about that. If you're presenting yourself in a way and you keep attracting certain things, then take a step back and say, hold up, wait a minute. Let me look at me. Why am I attracting these know nothing, ain't doing nothing for themselves people? Hmm, what is in me that's giving off a vibe that says it's okay for you to step to me like that? That part, right? So when I
All right.
met
Yeah, I
my
was going to
husband,
say that.
right, that part. So when I met my husband, he said something to me. He was like, I knew when I stepped to you, I had to come to you right because you was just a different type of woman. Now, was I always that woman? No. But by the time I met him, I had decided to get rid of the light bill man. Let me be honest. Get rid of the gas bill man. Get rid of the know nothing man. Get rid of the man that only came creep, creep, creep. So when I decided to get rid of all of them and focus in on my daughter, focus in on me, and I began to pray and say, I want a man that's going to love me for me and love my daughter, and I want a family, and I want her to have a good man in her life. When I began to pray those prayers, when I began to clean house and get rid of that old raggedy black book. So back in the day, we had a black book. I got rid of that, burnt it. I burnt it, right? Got rid of that book and then began to care more for myself and who I was and how I presented myself. I guess I changed what I was going to attract. And when he said that to me after we dated for a while, I was like, wow, okay, that said something to me. That means I wasn't attracting what I was used to attracting because I began to value myself differently. And I say that for the men too. If you don't want these shyster women out here, then you need to stop because there's some good quality men out here. Stop, take a step back and evaluate you. Who are you? What do you want in your life? Do you want a woman who got a bad body? Okay, fine, but bodies change. Do you want a woman who got something up here, who can meet you up here? Because as you get older in your relationship, stuff you did when you was 20, you can't do when you 45. It's just a fact of life. So what are the qualities you really looking for? Are you looking for somebody who gonna help you raise children, who, have some morals and values that are similar to yours and where you want to be, and they can call you out when you acting, crazy? And I don't want to use the word crazy, but when you acting out of sorts, like when my husband, I'll be like, baby, look now, Mr. Evans. He know if I call him Mr. Evans, it means, look, he is all the way in left, Mr. Evans, you know. And so once you get that relationship with your mate, you're able to call them out on it. So it's not just you know, getting yourself ready to find that partner. You got to be ready. And once you find that partner, how do you sustain that relationship? It don't happen osmosis. You have to be intentional. Knowing who your mate is, understanding how we all evolve. And when we evolve, how can we evolve together, right? Not being so I'm all this and he all that. No, what we doing is together. What I do affects you and what you do affects me. And so let's talk about it. Talk about those hard things. And when you can't, get help. Get a counselor. Go get some help. Somebody who can help mediate those conversations. Did
Now,
that kind
you
of
know, no, Dr. J, first, that table analogy is so powerful, right? Because table to me is such a sacred thing in a household, especially if you're a family who comes to the table to eat, like, families who do. And folks who just, table is always something like if I'm inviting you over to my house, we're guaranteed you're going to sit at the table because I'm going to feed you, right? So there's that singular power in the table of just those pieces. But what I love the way you shared that, and what involves on the table. So as I grew up, if I put my baseball mitt on the table, my mom for sure told me, get that thing off the table. It does not belong there, right? Because table has specific items that goes on it, right? I think part of it, or what I'm trying to say with your analogy, is I love that like what's on the table, what's that person bringing to the table, right? It goes back to that thing. But then it also made me think of the people, whether female, male, or other than, decides that they want to be part of the table, but they don't want to be on the top of the table. They want to be the little cushion that holds the leg bottom, right? And they still feel like that's suffice, that's enough. They doing their part. right? What about those folks? If you get where I'm going with that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
there's the main table where it belongs and what we bring together and what comes together, right? And then there's the ones who stay under the radar of that table, hence the little pad on the bottom of the leg,
Mm-hmm.
so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't scratch up the floor. What about those folks who stay in that space and think that they're still contributing to their relationship in that way?
That's really good, Mr. Adams. That means that person don't want to engage. They want to hide and be there and think that it's okay. But for the table to function, everybody has a place. And being under the table doesn't help the table function, right? You got people who gonna set the table. You got people who gonna bring the food in. You got people who gonna cook, right? We all play a part. And yes, that little piece at the bottom that don't scrape the up the floor, yes, you play a significant role at specific times. But for the most part, I need you to be engaged, right? That's good, and that's replaceable. But these main items on the table, they're not always replaceable. You can shift them, you can move them. They're interchangeable depending on what we serving. But that piece at the bottom, if it wears out, it's replaceable. If you my partner, I don't need you to be replaceable. I need you to be engaged. If I'm cooking chili, I need chili bowls, right? If I'm cooking
Yep.
fried chicken, then I need something for the chicken to sit in. I need some macaroni and cheese bowls, right? I need the bowls for the greens and the beans and the rice. I need those specific things in a relationship. I don't want you to be dispensable. And we shouldn't have that idea that we're dispensable. And if you're thinking that you're dispensable, then you really need to relook at your relationship. Is it you feeling dispensable, or is it somebody in there making you feel less than? Then that's a whole different conversation. Did that kind of address that for you?
Yeah, it did, Dr. J. So spot on. And I think, when you were speaking about it, and just thinking of the table, the analogy, all the important things that are part of that table, right? I think the other thing I got from your message, as I'm taking it in, is the almost self-evolution. Like there's the evolution of relationship, right? And then there's self-evolution for you to get to the space of evolution of relationship. And you spoke a lot about that in different ways, in different tangible pieces of like things that you do for yourself to get there. If you're not, if you feel like you're doing enough, but your partner is saying you're not, are you listening? Right? Are you actually taking that in? And that might be your evolution of self right there, is
Mm-hmm,
being more
mm-hmm.
receptive, right? And I think at times when we get into comfort of relationship, I think it could be a gift and a curse, Dr. J. Comfort of
Absolutely.
relationship, right? And I
Absolutely.
and I and the comfort I'm speaking of is more marriage, because like you, not as long as you, but I've been married for 25 years now, and that comfort of marriage for me and that partnership is accepting all of it, the good, the bad, and maybe not so sweet, the sick days, the up days, the wins, the victories, the
Mm-hmm.
losses, right? Accepting all those things. So in the evolution of oneself, and speaking directly of individual, whether female, male, other than, who are maybe stuck in the rut with that self evolution. They're not realizing that that's what they need to do, or maybe they're at a space. All right, I need to do this, but don't know how to go about it.
To do
What's
it.
my
Right.
steps to do it? Right. I guess. What
Right.
are your thoughts around that? Because we are getting towards the end of our segment, which makes me sad because I feel like we could talk long on this one. But I guess coming to the end here, and the tangible resources which we always want to provide for our listeners who are checking out this segment and this episode. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment, because Dr. J is giving us some gems today. What is the one, two tangible resources for our listeners as they walk away and they're about to kick it on their weekend and get their self-care moments? But we're trying to plant these seeds about evolution of
Right.
relationship, evolution of oneself, the table analogy. What is the last one, two tangible resources, Dr. J, that you can provide for our listeners?
Honesty with self, honesty with your partner, and listening. Because if your partner say you missing the mark, then let's talk about that. What do you mean? And sometimes in relationships you don't know how to say that. We got all these emotions involved. And what do you mean? I come home every day. I pay the bills. What you mean? But you don't take me out on no date. You ain't told me I'm beautiful. And he's saying, you ain't told me I'm handsome. You ain't hugged me like you used to hug me. You used to spoon me. You don't even spoon me no more. What's up with that? Right? So having those conversations, and then when you at that point where you stuck, get some help. Get some, have somebody to come in. And if the conversation gets too heated, time out. Time out don't mean a 4-week timeout. Timeout means right now I'm overwhelmed. I can't really respond to you, but let's have a conversation about it tomorrow at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, be ready to have that conversation. Don't keep blowing it off, because if you love this person and you want to be with that person and you didn't got comfortable because the shoes feel good, no, it's time to reevaluate and look at it. And after you have kids and life stuff happen, you get so comfortable. So you need your partner to pull your coattail and for you to love them enough to hear them and not take it personal, but hear them and say, well, baby, I can't take you out every week, but what about every 2 weeks? Okay, that's doable. I can't spoon you every night because I'm hot and I'm going through menopause. How about every other night? How about you let me turn the fan on while I spoon? So having that negotiation with one another. I love you enough to say, where can we meet at in the middle? That's it. Loving yourself, to be honest with you, honest with your partner, and find that negotiating spot. I think those are the some of the big three things that we need to take into consideration with relationships.
Love that, Dr. J. And I hope our listeners are checking that out, because I think there's so much resource in what you're sharing in there, and it's the compromise, right? Compromise is such a powerful thing, and I think sometimes people think, because maybe in the last 10 years I look at compromise differently. I used to look at it in one way, and I now look at it as compromise being concession. And when you have concession, that means parties do walk away, and it's equal, but it ain't gonna be happy at times, right? And it's on an equal basis of that happiness, where it's at. And I think that's such a powerful tool that is so obvious, but I think also maybe underrated.
Yep.
For folks to acknowledge, the simple things of, if your partner is telling you, you're not listening to me, and you're over here saying, no, I am, but you're really not, right? And you're not putting in that work. You're not falling into that space of concession, right? Because that space of concession means, I love this person, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna walk away, and it probably ain't gonna feel as happy for me. It's the compromise we do in our relationships. It's the compromise we do for the people we love.
Yep.
Right? It's the compromise we do for the love for ourselves. Because that growth you're giving to yourself, that eventually benefits you in the long run. Because then that one situation comes off the table. I'm gonna go back to your table analogy. It comes off the table, right? But guarantee because we've been married for a long time, something else comes right back on that table. It might be something different. Right? That's going to grow you in a different level, into a different space. So, Dr. J, I appreciate you. I'm going to give you another camp clap, give you that round of applause. Dr. J has delivered so many gems today. We have to bring you back. I feel like this can be a series of sorts around relationships, marriages. We didn't even touch toxic relationships, but in general, I am so grateful for you, what you're doing for others. Thank you. Big ups to you. And to our listeners, it's Friday Transformation. Take time for yourself this weekend. Make sure you take in your self-care moments. That's what it's all about. And we're here every Friday. We do Friday Transformation every Friday. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. And you know what the last words I'm going to say here for y'all is, who's helping you heal? Peace.